record on the cloud. Great. So welcome everyone, and thank you so much for attending our social media program today. My name's Michelle Fricaro and I'm the Events and Professional Development Manager for Umaga Victoria. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we're all coming from different lands. So please, if you wanted to say hi and type in the chat where you're coming from, just to acknowledge country, that would be really lovely. So I'm coming to you from Wiradjuri land. Wiradjuri land's a really big patch of country. So I'm coming to you from the Albury-Wodonga border. I'm on the Albury side, so technically I'm in New South Wales, but it is a beautiful country. I feel very privileged to live and work on Wiradjuri country, and I'm about 500 metres away from the beautiful Mighty Murray River, which was a pretty important meeting place for Wiradjuri people in this country. So I'd like to acknowledge all First Nations people who are present, and those from from past, present and emerging. So thank you for everyone for coming. I'm going to hand over to Jade, or Miss Coco the Librarian. I'm just going to let someone in. Great. So I'm going to hand over to Jade, or Miss Coco. She is a great freelance social media glam person who's taught me lots. So I'm sure you will learn lots today as well. And I'll let Jade talk a little bit about herself. I'm going to be here in the background. So I will be turning my computer off, and we'll be turning my screen off, and we'll be muting myself so that you guys can all have that participation as well. Okay, so thanks again, Jade. I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you, Michelle. Now, could I get a couple of nods that everyone can hear me okay? Yep. All right, brilliant. You wouldn't believe the morning I've had. I'm actually presenting today from my partner's work because the internet died at my home, and my new laptop also died. So I'm presenting from my old laptop today. So it's it's been a bit of a morning to get here and be with you all. But yeah, now that we are all here, I am going to share my screen and get started with this presentation. Put that on, and then I need to press the share screen button. And okay, you will be seeing my Canva account at the moment. That will disappear in just a second as I get my presentation up. All right, so as Michelle said, you're all here to learn about social media for small and medium organizations. I too would also like to pay my respects to the traditional owners of the lands from which we are all gathered today, and especially from where I'm presenting as well, the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation and the elders past, present and emerging. So I'm Jade, but let me begin today with a little bit of a story for you. So I was moving house earlier this year, and I think we can all agree how stressful moving house can be. I was managing it alongside my business. I had a few important clients coming up in the next week, and I felt that, you know how you can fixate on little things sometimes? I felt in that moment that if I had a new haircut, I'd just be able to handle everything a lot better. So, yeah, I just needed a haircut. I went, unfortunately, my usual hairdresser was fully booked at that time, and I didn't have the time to go wandering around a local shopping center and hope that I, struck gold with whatever hairdresser I chose. So I sat down and I did a bit of a Google search. I looked for hairdressers in my new local area. I was quite surprised with how many there actually were, quite a few working out of their own homes, actually. And I found, listings of their websites. I found them on Google Maps as well. So I searched some more and I found one that was 2 streets down from my new place that looked promising. Clicked on their website, a booking sort of application popped up, made my booking. It was all pretty stress free rather, which was quite good for the stressful time that I was having it. Um, and yeah, so when I finished my haircut and I was paying, they asked me, "Well, how did you find us?" I'm like, "Well, I googled you." The lesson here is that if you don't have some sort of online presence or social media, is you're missing out on opportunities. Today, I'm going to cover how we can best use a variety of social media to present sort of one voice for your organization. I'm going to go over the types of content that you can produce that get good engagement for your organization on social media. I'm also going to cover um, some content strategies, which I call the content pillars. And that will also help you to develop a content calendar that is pretty fresh all the time. I'm also going to cover fail-safe ways to gather engagement on your social media and also how you can evaluate your social media work. So let's start with the variety of social media that there is available today. On the screen, I've got three, but off the top of my head, let's see. What can I think of? Obviously, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, WhatsApp, Discord, LinkedIn, Facebook Messenger, Reddit. Wow, Pinterest. That's what, 6 or 7, and those are just the ones I can think of off the top of my head. The the challenge for us is figuring out which one or which ones of those multitude of social media would be great for our organization and would be best suited for our audience. So, according to the social media research that I've been looking at lately, you can see the link to the social media research that I'm talking about in the slide on your screen at the moment. But according to my research, the most uh, the most used social media at the moment, YouTube, was it? YouTube, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Facebook Messenger. Now, not all of those may be suited for your organization. And the thing is, while it's great to know what is the most popular and what are people using, where they're spending their time on social media at the moment, you also need to pair that with what you already know about your audience. So while Facebook may be where a lot of people are spending their time at the moment, does that platform meet the needs of your organization? Can you use it in the way that you want? And will the people who come to your museum or come to your events, will they also be happy to use Facebook to learn more about your organization and your events? There are plenty of reports out there that also give you similar information. So you can research to your heart's content where people are spending their time online. But if those top social media don't meet your needs and don't meet your audience's needs, then you may need to look elsewhere. The top ones may not be for you. Another thing that we need to consider when we're choosing not just to social media, but the type of content that we create for social media, is why we use the platforms that we use. We use social media to connect mostly and find community. That's the general reason why people use social media. So, how the various platforms make me or make us feel when we use them is also something to keep in mind. As you can see on my slide here, again, research has been done on this topic. Uh, I was, well, let's say I wasn't surprised with the results from the research that I was reading when it comes to how social medias of various platforms make us feel. Generally, Facebook makes us feel informed, guilty, entertained, lonely, or curious. Now, let's have a think about how most people use Facebook. So, most people use it generally to keep in touch with family, um, to contribute to group discussions, and to update everybody with photos of their life or videos from their life. It's a platform to keep family and friends updated on your uh, own things going on in your life. So it kind of makes sense that Facebook makes us feel informed. We not only get news from how our family and friends are going, but you can also follow organizations and learn about events that they have coming up or conferences, things like that. So, informed and entertained, definitely. Yeah, I can understand why Facebook makes people feel that way. And if you apply your general knowledge to also Instagram and Twitter, how people use those social media, it kind of makes sense that the feelings that you can see on your screen right now, it makes sense that that is how we feel when we use those platforms. So let me put a scenario to you. Say you are a small museum with a small but active community. You you do quarterly major events and you're looking for more people to connect with, people to volunteer at your events, and people to sign up as members to your museum. Given the information that we've that I've shared already, have a think. What social media platforms do you think would be good for a small museum with those goals? They want more members, they want to connect with other organizations, and they want people volunteering with them. If I was that small museum with those three business goals, I would probably choose Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Yeah. See, I would choose Facebook because it is for for years it has been the top social media platform. It's probably going to take a while for it to be knocked off that pedestal. And as a result, it's kind of that platform that everybody is on. So if everybody's already hanging out there, it would make sense to have a Facebook um, social media profile for your organization as well. I chose Twitter because it's a place where people go to build relationships and to be informed. It's also the platform that, for those of us working in libraries, galleries, and museums, there's a very strong sort of glamour community on Twitter. And you know you're going to find support there if you decide to use that platform for your organization as well. You're going to very easily be able to not only connect with your audience, but connect with other organizations too. And YouTube, because, like Facebook, it's it's rising in its popularity, but it's also been a constant for many years. And now uh, people are starting to enjoy sort of consuming video content a lot more than, say, reading a long form blog post or looking at an image gallery. Video is definitely the medium that's on the rise. Not only is it great to have a YouTube account, um, to be part of that rising sort of uh, rising interest when it comes to social media. Imagine, you have this library of information, video content that you've created either for events or to um, do like a curator's corner, uh, informative things. There's this library of content that you've created on your YouTube account that you can then repost again and again and again and again on your other social media, on your website even. So it's a good supportive social media to have. Now, there is one more thing I want to mention when it comes to sort of social media, creating your space on social media, and how it makes us feel. Now, we all have social media handles, and it's become best practice to try and have the same handle. So, as you can see on the bottom of the screen here, at Miss Coco Lib, that's my handle. It's become best practice to try and keep the same handle across every social media account that you have. So, with that in mind, even though you may not end up having a TikTok account or something on WhatsApp, it's good to open an account on those applications in any case and save your handle. Because wouldn't it be a damn shame if later on down the track you did decide to use TikTok for a specific event or challenge or something that your museum decides to do, but somebody else is already using the handle that your museum has chosen to use across every other social media platform. So, on every other social media platform, you're at Miss Coco Lib, but unfortunately on TikTok, you have to become at Miss Coco Lib _1. So when you are thinking about having various social media accounts across many platforms, have a think about what you want to use now and what you could possibly use in the future, and just open an account on every single one of them, just so you can save your name on every single one. All right, so it goes without saying that COVID has changed quite a bit, not only in our everyday lives, but in our online spaces as well. It's oh, actually for me personally, COVID has probably had a very negative effect on my online interactions and what I decided to do online. I cut back quite a bit. And that was a trend that a lot of people did. During the COVID years, everyone just sort of cut back and stayed offline. There was very, very limited engagement. And since that time, it's engagement online and on social media has only, increased just tiniest bit. People are sort of still very wary of just jumping all in when it comes to an online space now. And that's a good and a bad thing. In saying that, many marketing professionals still acknowledge that digital is the way to connect. You are going to have mm, a more effective marketing campaign doing Facebook ads than you would putting flyers in letterboxes. But let's talk about the platforms themselves. So, over the COVID years, all platforms, all social media suffered a plummet. There was a lot less engagement, a lot less talking, a lot less people sort of logging into their social media accounts and using them as they had before. Over on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, we'll use the big three again to sort of as examples. But over on Twitter, Twitter users, or the amount rather, let's say the amount of users on Twitter suffered a big plummet, which is not great for us who work in the glam sector because most people who do, there's a very supportive community of glamour professionals on Twitter. Facebook also suffered massive declines. Even the usual very flashy, click me, promotional type of posts that, or clickbait we call them, that were on Facebook that always got clicks, that even that just plummeted everything. Every bit of engagement went down. Over the COVID years, though, the one social media that sort of kept relatively good engagement across the board was Instagram. It sort of lends to the idea that we are very visual people. So with so when it comes to a social media platform for that's good for your organization and good for your audience, maybe considering whether your audience would prefer watching a video or looking at a bunch of really great images of your collection and your museum, or if they want to read sharp, witty posts or long form blog posts, is a consideration as well. COVID also not only had an effect on the amount of engagement online, but also how we communicate online. Um, People are much more aware of the impression that our content makes. So imagine you've created, I don't know, a few funny posts for hashtag Friday Fun Day. This is a couple of funny and inspirational posts. It's Friday and you're using that hashtag and you want to make people smile. Unfortunately, it may not always have that effect, especially if there was another COVID COVID news update that or smallpox, not smallpox, monkeypox update. How would your content, your funny content, look right next to that on somebody's social media feeds? There is a lot more attention is being put on not only how our content looks on our own feeds, but how it's going to show up against, the latest COVID, or how it's going to look against the latest COVID news. Thankfully, there are two things that we can use to hopefully create content that doesn't look too bad against the latest COVID news. And those two things that we can keep in mind when we're creating content is our tone and our voice. So, developing your tone can be hard because, again, you may create something that you meant to be funny, but it's taken the wrong way because the person reading it has either had a bad day or deems it to be in poor taste next to the COVID news that they can see on their screen right beside it. Tone can be up for interpretation, but it's your voice that, if it's consistent, that can really sort of nail it home. Your voice helps people to have or have a good impression of you, of your organization. So, as you can see on the screen here, my strategy for developing your tone and your voice. Your tone is 3 behaviors. So you may decide that for your organization, the behaviors that your content sort of will give people the impression of is your organization is quirky, it's witty, and it's creative. So those behaviors may shine through in the content that you produce, and your voice, sort of what you decide to write, the sort of focuses that you have. So you may be, your voice may be willing to share information, curious about the happenings in museums, and community driven. Let's go with that. So put those two together, your tone and your voice, how you write and what you write, then that sort of develops a personality for your organization. And that personality is what you want people to recognize when they see you online. And it's all right to sort of review the tone and the voice that you choose for your organization every year or every 2 years. But if you are consistent with whatever you choose for your tone and voice, then people will respond um, more favorably to you because they recognize you. And when we recognize a person, we're generally always happy to see them. I did have one other thing to share when it comes to your tone and voice, actually. Let's take, for example, my own business. Now, when I started Miss Coco the Librarian, it was just an idea. I had been helping people in libraries in particular with their social media policies and their social media procedures and how to write and what to write and when to write and how to do hashtag research. It was all things I was sort of doing ad hoc. And it made me realize that, well, in sort of helping people before I'd even developed my business, I had developed a voice that people were starting to trust. So how I write for Miss Coco the Librarian is well, I try and be informative and helpful. That is sort of the main behavior that you will encounter when you go through any of my content on the social media platforms. Also inspirational. I try and throw that in every now and then as well. But the place that I sort of really have a chance to let the tone and the voice of my business shine is in the conversations that I have online. So when I'm responding to somebody's comment on my content, or if I'm joining a conversation on another organization's page on Facebook, or if I'm chatting with a friend on Twitter, those places, those conversations are really where I try and remember, okay, how can I be helpful here? How can I be inspirational? How can I inspire somebody to action? Obviously, in a polite and respectful way. And also in my direct messages. So it's in the conversations that you have online where you can really let your tone and your voice shine through. Because as I said, when people become familiar with that personality of your organization, then they'll be happy to see you and happy to come back and write comments on your pages, on your profiles, any day of the week. Now, on this slide in front of you, I also have scale back, invest in trust content, and adjust your social listening. Allow me to explain those right now. I remember reading once that most media professionals say that if you anger, inspire, or make people laugh, then your content is doing its job. That's what you want to be doing online, angering people, inspiring them, or making them laugh. Unfortunately, I disagreed with that entirely when I read it. While we may want to inspire a person or incite some sort of reaction, we are glamour professionals. So, people who work in museums, people who work in libraries and archives, and generally we are places of education. People expect us to, you know, be places of information and education. And if our content on social media constantly angers, inspires, or is funny, then I think we're not necessarily doing our jobs. That, and also I think people wouldn't be taking us seriously after a while as well. So, when it comes to what to post on social media, I want you to scale back. As I mentioned before, there is not as much engagement online. People are um, a lot more intent on sort of what you post and how it looks, or how what you post, how it looks around everything else that's online as well. There's a lot more thought being put into not just what we can post, but how our posts are being perceived. So that requires not only a bit more effort on our part, but it also means that it gives us permission, I guess, to scale back sort of how much we're posting and when we post. It's okay to post less. And I also, when it comes to what to post online, I want you though to invest in trust content. Now, when I say trust content, that I mean sort of the content that allows people to spend a bit more time with you, uh, posting content that invites conversation or a discussion. You want to not just ask direct questions, but sort of post things that invite people to not only think about what you're posting, but to comment in a thoughtful way as well. And finally, I want you to adjust your social listening. So, we all do social listening when it comes to social media in one way or another. Sort of, we are aware of what the big trends are. We're sort of aware of what people in our own circles are sort of talking about and what they're interested in. You also, when you are doing the social media for your organization, need to apply that social listening skills to the interests of your organization. So if your organization is interested in inspiring people to come and volunteer with you, then that is something that you need to listen for in your own circles as well. How are people doing that? Can you do it better? Can you do it differently? Are people interested or willing or, wanting to even volunteer? Are people talking about volunteering? So, when it comes to the content that you post for your organization, listening to what people are already saying first before you post can be a very helpful strategy to make sure that what you are posting is relevant. And when you're relevant, people engage with you. All right. So we've done quite a big chunk on sort of social media and developing your voice online. We're about halfway through, but I want to summarize the things that I've covered already, just so you know it's easier to remember the summarized dot points. Sometimes I find so. I am quite happy to provide those summaries every now and then. When it comes to developing your voice online, um, you want to keep your audience forefront in your mind. Keep your audience in your mind and your organization's goals. And when you marry those two together, you'll usually find one, two, or three social media platforms that suit your needs. Make sure that you create online spaces with your social media that people are happy to come back to, happy to comment on, and they are happy to engage with. You need to understand what your tone and voice will provide for people online. Because, yes, it's great to have social media accounts. It's great to say, yes, we have this many followers and this many likes on our posts. But first and foremost, you want to be able to say that you've provided something by being online. If you constant if you constantly post promotional content, and that's all that your profiles provide people, then why are they going to come back? Yeah, sure, promotional content for your events, for anything that you do is great. You need to do that. But if that's all that they see, then people tend to sort of tune you out a little bit. What do you provide? Are you just going to be a self promoting billboard? Or are you going to be a place that people come back to because you've provided, interesting thoughts or a new fact that they didn't know? Or have you provided collection photos which astound and make people, you know, look at you in awe? What do you provide people online through your tone and your voice and the content that you produce? And lastly, we want to add a very healthy helping of empathy to the content that we make on social media these days. It's very, very easy to look a bit crass or in poor taste, especially with current news at the moment. So it doesn't hurt not only to be empathetic in the posts and the content that we create, but also in the comments under it if you happen to, or if people happen to say this is in poor taste, then own it and just move on. So I mentioned we were about halfway through. We're now going to talk about content pillars. Now, I remember researching this ages and ages ago, and it has since helped me develop content for my own social media profiles and keep it fresh, keep it lively and entertaining, not just have my social media profiles be a promotional billboard. These content pillars are a way to structure your content. And if you use every single pillar in the 1 week, great. If you use a few of them in the 1 week, also great. These content pillars can also be, you can use one or two content pillars in the same post as well. So let me explain. Say you are, let's go back to that small museum example of before. So you're that small museum and you want to promote your latest quarterly event. You do major events every quarter of the year. But you also want to inspire your audience to sign up to museum memberships. That is sort of your base business goal for being on social media. That is what you want to do, increase museum membership. So in the weeks up to your latest quarterly event, you may post images from last year's big event. And you're doing this to show connection, to unite the community that comes to your events and hopefully entice others to come as well. You may also, in the weeks up to your event, post links to registration for it, which is educating people how they can also come to your event and be part of the connected community around them. You may also post video testimonials from volunteers from your last event as well, which inspires people. So that would be inspirational and, letting people know how great it is to be part of this community or to have a day volunteering with your museum. Now, the sort of bottom line of all those types of posts is to promote your event, right? But you've done it in a way that is not confrontational as some promotional uh, content can be. It's actually a rather subtle way to promote your event while also showing just what you can do with your community. And let's not forget the weeks after your event. So you can post again some more pictures and videos, images and videos from the event, showing everyone what a great day was had by all. You could repost other people's content with permission, of course. But after the event, you can spin all the content that you create um, with the idea of, well, we've just hosted this amazing event. If you want to be informed of more events like this, why not sign up for a museum membership? Which would, of course, be satisfying your business goal for being on social media. The content pillars are also a really useful way of planning out your content calendar. So, say at the start of the month, you look at the things that you need to post about that you need to promote. There may be um, there may be some art events coming up that you need to promote in this month. There may also be some exhibition cleaning, which is happening to um, one of your exhibitions. So unfortunately, that exhibit needs to be shut, but you also need to let people know about that. So those are things that you need to post, and they'll be either educational or promotional generally. You can look at these content pillars and then say, okay, so we've got the things that we need to post. What else can we fill in our content calendar with? Maybe you might decide that at 5:30 p.m. every day, you're going to post something entertaining. maybe go to your customer service team and ask them for a little snippet of something funny or interesting that people asked about the collection. Your customer service teams always get all the interesting questions. Trust me, having worked in customer service in a museum myself, hmm I got quite a few interesting inquiries over the years. You may also decide that every Monday at 10:30 a.m. you are going to post something inspirational. It could be, something to help people get excited about their day, or just something to help them get excited about their next cup of coffee. When you look at these content pillars and then create content around the pillars, then you've got something different every day or every time that you post. And that is how you keep your feed looking interesting and fresh. Using the content pillars, yep, that is how you keep everything fresh. But also, when you are creating your content, have a think about what would be the best way to get the message across. So, say you are, okay, we have a exhibition cleaning happening. We need to let people know about this. How are we going to let people know about it? Are we going to create a blog post about what usually happens in an exhibition cleaning with, the information of this exhibit's going to be closed for cleaning at this date, will be reopened at this date, and then let people know what usually happens during a cleaning? Or are you going to create some interesting gifts about, you know, what usually happens in an exhibition cleaning? Are you going to create a video? So there are lots of ways that you can get your message across, you, while also thinking about what you're going to be posting. You need to think about how you're going to post it. What medium, a book, video, GIF, blog post, what medium is going to be the best way to get your message across? And you don't have to do the same one every single time as well. That is also another way of keeping your content and your feeds very, very fresh. And on a side note, when it comes to the content that you create, uh, especially if you're doing the sort of marketing or communications role for your museum, you're aware there's a lot of content, a lot of things that you create, and they need to be saved somewhere, and they need to be saved in a meaningful way. So I know it kind of goes without saying, working in the information management industry, but it still happens. So I'm going to put this out there. It's one of my pet peeves. But if you are working with all of this content and creating all of this content every single day, then make sure you save it somewhere where anyone else in your organization can also easily access it. And make sure that you save your content under a meaningful name, something that means something that will be meaningful to not just you, but anybody else who comes across it. Because you'll be saving not only you, but the person who does the communications role after you a lot of hassle. You want people to be able to easily use the tools and methods that you use to do your job. Because social media, at the end of the day, while we can have one or two marketing or comms people, your social media content can be richer and fuller if a lot more people from your organization actually contribute to it as well. And if you have a space where everyone can actually access what has already been created, then everybody wins. All right, I just looked at the time. I'm going to zoom through the next things. um, so, we're now going to be looking at engagement. How to get engagement online in a time where it's decreasing significantly. So, while the clickbaity bits of content and content in general has had less engagement online, there are a few posts that you can do that have always gathered good engagement. And by engagement, I mean people have seen them, liked them, commented on them. Those are the engagement indicators. So there are three types of posts that without fail will always gather that engagement. And they are, well, the first one, acknowledgement posts. So like the posts that I have on my screen at the moment. Behind the scenes posts and hashtag did you know collection posts with a little call to action as well. So using the hashtag did you know and pairing that with a collection post. And sometimes a little call to action works well on any of those three too. So, acknowledgement posts. They are posts that give thanks for your volunteers, for your community, for your staff, your sponsors, anybody who has helped you achieve something and you want to thank them for their efforts. You want to acknowledge them for their efforts. Um, as you can see on screen at the moment, I was part of the New Librarians Symposium conference committee, and we created these thank you posts for all the people who volunteered and helped our conference. So these posts actually got the most likes and the most comments out of all the other posts that we did on our Facebook, on our Instagram, and on our Twitter accounts. Likewise, I did this year some thank you tweets for National Volunteer Week. I thanked people throughout my career who had given me volunteering opportunities and who had given me mentorship because, of course, those were the people who helped me get to where I am today. Again, the tweets that I did, they received many hearts, which is the likes on Twitter, and lots and lots of comments. So not only people commenting and saying thank you for saying thank you on my tweets, but people who are also interested in the volunteering opportunities I'd had. And so there was those discussions happening as well. On to the second type of post that you can do, the behind the scenes. So everyone wants to see how you do what you do, which is generally why behind the scenes posts always work well. They make people feel like they're getting the real you, and it's authentic storytelling at its finest. So while the people in your organizations, or while you may be a bit hesitant getting in front of the camera or even doing a voiceover, I can guarantee you that those behind the scenes posts will get your museum engagement in your social media content. People also love seeing what you have in your collections. So do collection posts, but pair it with the hashtag did you know? Did you know that whatever you want to post after that? And I can tell you that when you pair your collection posts with the hashtag did you know, and then maybe add in a small call to action afterwards, you're going to get people engaging with you. They're going to comment back, they're going to ask you questions. And that is what you want happening. So those are the types of posts. There's three types of posts you can do that without fail will get people engaging with you, not just liking what you post, but also chatting with you, asking you questions, commenting on your posts as well. There are also two other things that you can actually do sort of as part of a strategy, I guess, on social media to get engagement back to your profiles. So, one of those things you can do is to use the features of the social media you're on. So, like Twitter and Instagram in particular, allow you to at someone in your profile, in your little bio section. So, why not use it? And they also let you use hashtags in that in your bio. So, why not use hashtags there too? Uh, yeah, as like I've got on the screen at the moment. You can also, so yes, you can add somebody and add in hashtags. You want to do those things because then it adds your profile to the bucket of information under that hashtag or under that at somebody. As you can see on my Twitter profile, I've got hashtag library marketing. Now, my Twitter profile is going to show up under the hashtag library marketing. So if somebody searches library marketing on Twitter, my profile is going to show up. Using the features of the social media itself is a great way to gain visibility for your profile and, you know, get people back to your social media profiles if you show up under hashtags that they're interested in. The second strategy is to talk to people. You've probably sort of twigged by now that the biggest engagement point, I guess, is to get comments on your content. That also applies to not just commenting on your own content, but you who also going out there and talking on other people's profiles, on other people's posts, just chatting online. It's a great way to get engagement for your own social media profiles. Now, it's common practice to use hashtags for events or for your organization. Is it common practice to create a branded hashtag? It not only sort of allows people to find information about your event, but it also gathers all the information about that event under that hashtag. So it's a way for people to search various things. Using a hashtag effectively uh, it requires a bit more effort than just creating the first hashtag that you think of. So I use the program in front of us at the moment for display purposes. You type into the search bar the hashtag that you're interested in, so hashtag science, as I've got here at the moment, and it gives you sort of a list of hashtags that are related to the one that you want to use. So it gives you an idea of, okay, if I want to use the branded hashtag Miss Coco Lib, what is already been talked about around that hashtag? That's what the big group of hashtags down below here is sort of telling you. What is it a good hashtag to use, and what is it already related to? You also want to see what's already been posted under the hashtag you're thinking of using. So while if you're using display purposes, you can see the relationships around that hashtag. You also want to see if there's anything posted under the hashtag you're thinking of using as well. So you may think it's a great idea to use a hashtag be natural, for some posts about sustainable living or sustainable materials. What you may not realize, well, when I searched that particular hashtag on Twitter, I found that underneath it, the posts that were already underneath that hashtag were a delightful mix of BDSM, homeopathic remedies, movie promotions, and what else was there? There was, oh yes, environmental science. So do your research, basically, is what I'm saying. You just be sure that the hashtag that you want to use for your branded event or for your museum has a good reputation already. Hashtags are a feature on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, Snapchat, Pinterest, TikTok. There's something that's used across many social media platforms. It's since 2009, they have been a method of building community. They've been a method of advocating for social justice, for getting updates on worldwide events. So that tells me that hashtags are an important way to increase the visibility for your organization and for your organization's social media profiles. You have to forgive me, I'm kind of zooming through this now because I can see the time is coming up very, very quickly, and I have got a lot more to share with you. I've mentioned before that chatting online and having discussions is the best way that you can get engagement back on your social media profiles. You don't want people to see you online and see that your social media is just a promotional billboard. You want to use those content pillars and have a variety of different things posted on your social media, not just words, but GIFs, links to other things, links to the videos that you've produced. You want people to chat with you and then come back to your social media homes and engage with you there as well. Obviously, I'm assuming that the things that you say on other people's profiles will be polite and insightful. You don't ever want to create the impression that of nastiness. On Facebook, you can leave comments on other organizations' pages. On Instagram, you can leave comments under posts or on posts under a hashtag that you follow. And you can do the same on Twitter as well. I think I have a slide for that. No? Okay. I don't. But yes, you can follow hashtags on Twitter and on Instagram. And so you want to sort of engage with the conversations, engage with the posts, sorry, and create conversations on those posts under those hashtags. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go out of my slide for a little bit because I want to show you what happened there. Did I disappear? Interesting. Okay, my apologies. I'm going to go back to my internet and show you what I was going to show you with Twitter, how you can search a hashtag. Give me a moment while I bring my internet screen back up, and I will re-share my screen. Oh dear. There we go, finally. All right, so let me know with a nod if you can see my Twitter screen at the moment. Yep. Okay, brilliant. All right. So if you want to sort of not only search a hashtag but also save it, I will go. There we go. Use my own branded hashtag here. So you've searched the hashtag and you've got content coming up underneath it, so you can search all of that there. If you go up the top here on Twitter to the three dots on the side, there's more. And then you can save that search. And you click on that and you've saved the search. And when you search on Twitter now, it will come up, sorry, it'll come up under your saved searches basically, and you can easily find it again and again. You can also do similar on Instagram. I'm not going to try and bring up my Instagram at the moment, seeing as it was so difficult to get Twitter on the screen. But you can, yeah, you can do the same on Instagram as well. Let's bring my slides back up. And we'll go through these again. And if you want to keep these slides, Michelle, I'm going to be emailing them to Michelle and she'll be sharing them out at the end of this presentation as well. So saving your hashtags or saving your searched hashtags is a great way to, you know, come back to those conversations, not only see how people are using the hashtag that you've made as your branded hashtag or your event hashtag, but also a way for you to contribute to the conversations happening in that hashtag and also have an influence on what's happening under that hashtag as well, being able to influence people in a way and help them, you know, have a good impression of you online. Chatting online gives your organization visibility. And once people start noticing you, they will travel back to your social media, your online homes, and engage with you there also. Yes. So you want to also evaluate your social media work. Reason I spent so much time on hashtags is because, oh, there we go. It's on that slide. Ah, you'll have to forgive me. As I mentioned before, I was in a bit of a rush this morning. I had to redo a few things. It was a terrible morning for me. Um, and in redoing things, I had to redo my presentation slides as well. So I'm not quite as familiar with the slides that I made this morning as I was with the ones that I had originally for this presentation. So yes, the reason why I've spent so much time on hashtags in this presentation is because they are a way you can also evaluate the impact that you've had through your social media efforts. And I know as soon as anybody mentions analytics when it comes to social media, most people sort of tune out, but trust me, if you are doing the communications and social media marketing role for your organization, analytics is something you will learn to love. Everything has a form of analytics, every single social media, even your websites, they all have some form of analytics that you can go and look at. In fact, I would suggest that you look at your analytics at least at minimum every 3 or 4 months, because the analytics on any social media that you use will give you an idea of which posts you have done have created the most engagement and which posts haven't really hit the mark with your audience. When you're looking and evaluating your social media efforts, you will be looking for posts that not only have uh, big like counts on them, but also posts that have a lot of comments on them as well. Also, views are an analytic metric that some social media use as well. So, likes, views, and comments. Comments, though, you're probably guessing by now, is the big one. That is the one that you want to have in the high numbers, because, well, basically, at the end of the day, if people are commenting on your social media content, then they're going to be, you can, that guarantees you at least one person, 1 or 2 people who are going to be coming back to your content, because we all love seeing who's replied to our comments online. I can guarantee you that will be one way to bring people back to your social media profiles. See, I was listening to a couple of podcasts on social media, sort of the new changes that have happened on Facebook, and the creator studio that Facebook has created for its analytics for Instagram and Facebook. In this podcast, they were even saying that the big social media giants like Meta, who owns Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, they were saying that your likes, your follower count, and your reshares no longer directly translate to sales or customers anymore. So those metrics aren't as influential in, creating new museum members as they once were. So instead of using those metrics, you want people to be talking about you either in your direct messages, you want them talking to you there, or you want them commenting on your content. Because when they do that and you're replying, you're engaging in conversation, that's how you develop a relationship with the people through your social media profiles. And once you've developed that relationship, they think well of you and they're more inclined to do as you ask on your social media profiles. It's that opportunity to develop the relationship with the person on the other side of the screen that will help you hit your business goals now. It's no longer how many likes and how many reshares and how many followers that you have on your social media profiles. It's how you engage with them. It's how you talk to them. It's how you get them excited to come back to your online home again because they left a comment and they want to see who's responded to the comment. And one of the ways that you can follow conversations is by following the hashtags. So on Facebook, you can actually search various hashtags and um, see what is being said under that hashtag. So on my screen right now, I've got this URL link, and the hashtag that I want the information on is Miss Coco Lib. Obviously, you would put your branded hashtag there instead of Miss Coco Lib. But if you put that into your browser right now, then on Facebook, that is a way that you can search any hashtag across the platform. And again, as I was saying before, you can follow hashtags on Instagram and on Twitter as well. That is where if people use your branded hashtags, and it's quite easy to encourage people to do that, especially if they're at an event. We all love sharing where we are and what we're doing. And if there's a hashtag to add to it as well, then we love being part of that bucket of information under that hashtag. So following your hashtags and contributing to the conversations that are there is a more effective way to gather to get high engagement on your social media profiles. All right, I've said that. I've said that. I've said that. Oh, and if you do already manage the Facebook and Instagram accounts for your organization, you're probably familiar with the Creator Studio. It's the analytics platform that Meta, who own Facebook and Instagram, have created for these two platforms. Now, the part that you want to really focus on for both of these platforms is your inbox. That's where you get the really juicy questions or the interesting inquiries. If somebody has something that they're really curious or they really want to know, they will direct message you. And that is the best metric for evaluating the impact that you have had on somebody, because if you can answer their inquiry or provide them with information that will help them in their research or in their rabbit hole, as I like to say, then you've had a positive impact on that person. And it is the best metric for getting closer to your business goals, because once you can help somebody online and you leave that good impression, then they're more likely to come back to you again and again. All right. So today we've looked at the types of social media and how we use them, how we can use them, and how they make us feel. We've talked about communicating online and how COVID has changed the way that we communicate. We've talked about how you can develop one voice, like one singular voice that is a good personality for your organization online. We've covered strategies to make your social media homes a place that people want to revisit again and again. And we have also talked about very briefly, I'm sorry about that, very briefly, how you can evaluate whether your social media efforts are making the impact that you want. Keep in mind that good engaging social media content does, it's a bit hit and miss, and it takes time to find the vibe for your organization and find the vibe that really clicks with your audience. So take the time to develop your social media content to that level. And once you have it there, you know, just, well, rather not once you have it there, always talk to people online. Content is great to have. It's the support, it's the talking points that you can have on your social media profiles, but you also want people to be chatting on your social media homes as well, and you want to have chats with them too. All right, my details are on the screen now. If you have any questions or want to delve a little bit deeper into any of the points that I've mentioned today, then please come and chat to me. I'm always happy to talk about anything social media. I do apologize for, oh, I don't know whether I've seemed a bit raggedy to you today, but I do apologize in any case. It's been a morning. I'm very very glad to have been here to help you all today with your social media marketing. And regardless of the morning, I have had fun now, and I hope you have too. I'll just
Thanks,
stop.
Jade.
Yeah, stop
Um,
sharing my screen now.
Thank you. We do have 5 or so minutes. If anyone has a quick question that they wanted to ask Jade before we log off, you can either unmute yourself or put it in the chat. Chelsea?
Thanks. Thanks for that. Thank you, Jade. That was really interesting. And my question is about sort of soliciting content from a broader team of colleagues, which is something I struggle with in my role. I work at the University of Melbourne within the library in the Archives and Special Collections department. So my role is 3 days a week and encompasses exhibition marketing, exhibition public programs and comms and other forms of engagement. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. But during the pandemic, I came back from maternity leave and suddenly I was doing our social media coordination, which was fine because it's something I'd sort of covered in my master's and I had knowledge of best practice. Where I struggle is getting content from my broader team, because I think what's been working well is putting out a call for themed content, for example, for Science Week or Book Week, Ask a Museum, formerly Ask a Curator, we always engage with that sort of thing. Sometimes it's a random day, like we did Day of the Seafarer, and everyone's collection had something that could be submitted. So I do sort of look for those themes that can apply to a lot of different collections, which for us includes like rare books, prints, East Asian, rare maps, archives. It's quite broad. Do you have any tips on how I can sort of try to get more sort of news items, new acquisition items, just collection content from curators and collection managers?
Yeah. I know I sort of say it quite a bit, but talking to people, like, it's amazing how, because I've also worked or volunteered in archives, it's amazing how many sort of items in an archive can relate to even current news today. And, while you're in the line to get coffee at work, maybe mention that to the person who sort of looks after the archives. It's Social media isn't something that everybody thinks about in their everyday work. So it's up to us to sort of remind them that the stories that they come across in their everyday work is something that maybe we could share. So I know it's not, a definite thing. It's definitely something that will require you to do a little bit more work. But I've you need to remind people that your social media is there. It's not only more work for them, but it's a way to highlight what they have. And they want people to know what they have at the end of the day, because that's how it's one way we can highlight our relevance to a broader audience. And that is invaluable.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I completely agree. I struggle a bit because our archive stuff are all offsite at our repository in Brunswick, so I don't come across them as I do with my colleagues in special collections who are next door to my office. But yes, I think I do remind staff regularly in meetings and emails, but it's not really sinking through. So I think I have to be more creative in how I remind people and get that investment to get people on board with the value of it.
Well, feel free to shoot me a line on social media. It's something that I do think about regularly myself, and I'm happy to share any thoughts that I come up with as well. Now, I did see there was one question in the chat, and I think I'll try and answer that.
Mhm.
And I did see my partner at the door behind me trying to get my attention. So I think I may have to go very
Yeah,
soon.
that's fine. We're on time. We're perfectly on time.
All right. So
Yeah.
the question that I saw from the chat is, what do you recommend for a posting schedule? You mentioned every day, but is there a sweet spot? There is. So while I did mention every day, that is a lot of work for all of us as well. If you can post something 3 times a week, I've found that is not only acceptable, it's good for our own workloads. Social media does tend to be something that's heaped on us as an add-on, as Chelsea sort of highlighted for us earlier. It's okay to post less, but that also gives us the time to think about what we're posting a lot more as well.
Yeah.
So a posting schedule will also be influenced by what you see from your analytics, what you see from when people actually engage with your posts as well. If you find that people are engaging with your posts more in the morning, then your 3 posts a week will probably end up being in the morning. If they're more of a crowd sort of after work, around the 3:30, or sorry, the 5:30. I'm a school mum, so 3:30, the 5:30 mark. Then yeah, you'll probably be posting a lot more then as well. All right.
Yeah. Thank you. That's great, actually. I'm like, oh, 3 a week. Great. Got it. It's good to know. Well, thank you, Jade. Thank you so much for your insights. Yeah, if people want, I can get the slides off Jade and I can send them out to everyone so that you can have those.
Yeah.
And I have recorded the session as well. So just let me know if you want that as well. But yes, thanks, Jade. Always a wealth of information.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.